Thank you, Professor. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you also to my co-hosts, Professor Tubiana, from whom you've just heard, and His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud. And thank you also, I wanted to particularly thank the Kenyan Special Climate Envoy, His Excellency Ali Mohammed. We raised the question or the issue, the topic of investing in science, innovation, entrepreneurship, and evidence-based policymaking early in the process for this summit. And it was tremendous to hear His Excellency, the President, Dr. Ruto, include that in his remarks this morning. And we look forward to seeing it also reflected in the declaration later this week. We believe at Community Jameel, I think many of us here gathered share the belief, that science is key to tackling the threats posed by climate change, from green technologies spun out in new companies to evidence-based climate policies. There are great opportunities, but they need funding to achieve impact at scale. In other words, they need climate finance. But there cannot be a just and equitable framework for climate finance without investment in science and innovation beyond the usual suspects in North America, Europe, and so on. In climate finance gatherings, we often hear the refrain that there's a shortage of investable opportunities. Maybe we're not looking hard enough, but we're certainly not investing enough beyond those usual suspect geographies. We need to invest in science and innovation because they together form the spring from which these investable opportunities will flow. In Africa, there are 100 researchers per million people, which is about 10 times fewer than in other geographies around the world. Nor is it simply a question of justice and equity. In fact, when we overlook investing in outside Europe and North America at scale, it's foolish because we overlook a huge pool of talent with the potential to have a dramatic impact in how we fight climate change. Talented scientists and researchers, talented inventors and entrepreneurs, talented civil servants advancing an approach to evidence-based policymaking. Without them, we are fighting climate change and its impact with one arm bound behind our backs. At Community Jameel, I'm sure that there's plenty more that we can do to address these inequities, but we are excited that this week we have launched a network of embedded climate labs in governments at the national, state, and city level in Africa and South Asia with colleagues from the Abdulatif Jameel Poverty Action Lab at MIT and C40. And I acknowledge here colleagues from Bloomberg and SIF, who are of course key partners in C40. And you will hear more about that later from Teresa from JPAL, but also that here in Nairobi, Community Jameel has partnered with the International Livestock Research Institute, the University of Edinburgh, and others to launch the Jameel Observatory, which leverages not only data to model and forecast the effects of hunger and famine posed by climate change on food systems, but also traditional knowledge. And I think that's another point that I take from President Ruto's message this morning, that we cannot ignore the importance of traditional knowledge in this struggle. So I very much look forward to hearing from the panel, and thank you again for joining us here today. Thank you.